Good morning, everybody. Today, this is Christopher Rose with Junk Doctors NJ, the sponsoring company that sponsors this group and podcast. And we have somebody interesting today. This is John Drews. He is an ITI worker. He actually is the owner of STF Computer Services. There's a lot of small businesses out there or big businesses, and they need an operation to be set up. They have to have an operation going, so they need a phone system, computer system, and the most important thing, people infiltrating our data. So that means good security. John has been in the business for many years. He actually helped our company set up our infrastructure for our electronics and what we need. And I'm going to pass it over to him so John can introduce himself, tell you where he's from, and give us some insight of why is it important if you're going to be a small entrepreneur, small business, and grow to be bigger. You got to know what you need in this day and age, and time goes fast and things evolve, and there's always new ways that people find ways to break into your data, and we always have to be vigilant. And we have people like John that knows the ins and outs of IT work and how he can give you a hand. So for no let's not wait any longer. This is John from STF Computer Services. Nice to have you up here today, John.
Thank you, Chris. Great introduction.
You're welcome.
So we're located in Denville, right in town, and we service both northern and central New Jersey, a little bit of lower Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
And our job, our reason we're in business is to keep you and your data safe. That's our primary goal, and we have methods and products to help you do that with the benefit of saving money. And IT, of course, is an expensive ordeal these days, and prices have come up naturally recently. But we're always working to have saving money, have the most efficient ways to service your company, and there's many methods to do that right now.
Yes,
which is nice, including things like remote access and methods like that. So.
absolutely. And I mean, even today, like today's technology is moving at such a high pace. And I mean, there's so many new things that we could put into our business that could help us. So how long have you, well, tell us a little bit about your journey, actually. How did you get into this?
Well, I'm an ex-auto mechanic, believe it or not. And back in the 70s, 1976, I left that business. I started in the computer business way before computers, PCs were out. And eventually, I bounced around, worked for a few companies here and there, but I eventually went out on my own when the PC, as we know it today, became popular. So that you're looking at probably the late 80s. I did a lot of work in New York City, particularly for financial shops, and eventually moved back to New Jersey with a lot of business, and we just servicing small customers, 10, 15 people, even smaller than that in some cases.
Really?
Where there was a gap. It was a gap, you might have been too small for a bigger company to service.
Sure.
I briefly went into the home audio video business when that was all popular. And that's actually a story unto itself, and a good thing that we learned about audio video because of what happened during COVID and video conferencing.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, after audio video died back in that was late 2009, after that recession, I went back into the IT business, kind of waited for the recession to end and built it back up again. Same business model, though, selling to medium-sized small companies.
Let me ask you a question. What are the most common IT challenges faced by businesses in New Jersey, and how can they overcome these?
Well, I think biggest challenge right now is keeping costs low, but safety is a major concern. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the methods we use to keep your network safe. And one of them, as an example, today I'm going to give away one of my trade secrets for keeping your network safe.
Great, because I think people should really acknowledge that.
Yep, and I kind of discovered it accidentally. However, it turned out it was a mainstream method. But keeping your data safe. I'm here to keep your data safe. It's simple as that.
What do you think about for small business owners and entrepreneurs who are just starting out? What do you believe are the most critical IT infrastructure components they need to put into place as soon as they start? What is the first
Well,
thing?
I'll give you a typical example of that. If you're starting a small business, you're going to have an office with a few people in it. The first thing you'll do is call one of the cable providers up and order an internet circuit. And that's something you have to do. Where that goes kind of bad is that you need to protect that border where that intersection is between your network and the cable companies. And that's where an appliance like a router comes into play. But we take it a little step further. We use a filtering appliance because if anything's going to come in bad and damage your network or damage your data, that's one of the methods that they use to get in. Second one is email and people. I'll put people as sort of a generic category of bad habits that people do, like clicking on links that may take them to bad places.
So even, I didn't even know just clicking on the link could be detrimental. I thought that you would have to maybe click on the link and then click on something else and make it official. Now you're saying pretty much clicking on the link is bad enough.
It could do
open up a channel for them to get in.
But the one product that we use called Untangle, made by a company called Arista, sort of like prevents you from doing damage to yourself. And I'll give you an example of one situation I wound up with. I got a call one day from the owner of a business, of an insurance agent, and he got me on the phone and described his computer. He was just sitting there going, "I'm trying to get to this website. No, you can't go there. I'm trying to get to this website. No, you can't go there." And it was just cycling. So I said, "Well, that's not good." So I ran down there, took a look, and I said, "What'd you do?" He said, "Well, I got this email from so-and-so, and I clicked on it." But here's the good thing. If there wasn't border protection, meaning the right filtering appliance was in place, that computer would have went to a bad website, probably downloaded something bad like ransomware. We'll talk about ransomware a little bit. And damaged not only his computer, but potentially his whole network and compromising his data.
Wow.
That was the owner of the company, by the way.
And that's small potatoes compared to a lot of other things that are going on.
That's correct.
But that's still detrimental for that person because that's their livelihood.
That's a simple situation of people need to know, hey, you get a funky looking email from somebody, you probably shouldn't click on unless you know who it's coming from.
That's sad because it's like you can't even click on things because you don't know, it could be a ending of your situation of work.
That's right. It's two things, educating people, letting them know that there are bad things out there. That's number one. Secondly, it's having the right proper equipment in place to stop that from the first place, coming in the first place. For instance, like email filtering, inbound. And one of the things we use, one of our toolkit is Gmail. Gmail does a very good job of filtering. This happened to be a Microsoft account, and that bad email did get through.
Let me ask you this question, John. Talking about computer systems, do you feel like there should be liability also held on the actual computer maker, that they should be installing protection? I mean, they do come with some sort of protection, but I guess it's just not enough.
That's a great question. Our policies, Microsoft does give you filtering tools that will scan your computer for viruses. There's tons of outside products like Norton and things like that. They typically slow the computer down and not very efficient. I have this theory: go with the Microsoft products because they give them to you anyway, better than nothing, but do the proper filtering on the edge.
But you need a Microsoft computer.
I'm in a Windows environment. I'm not necessarily a Mac person at this point, but yes. You would need a Microsoft. I'm going to talk about Microsoft Windows mostly because that's what I typically service. But it's to be able to use virus scanners effectively, it usually takes up resources on your computer. So you're better off making sure you have good border protection rather than relying on a virus that got to your C drive already or got to your local drive already and is trying to propagate. And then I'll tell you the big secret.
And are you seeing a lot nowadays?
No, and that's what I want to kind of, say that I do differently than everything else. We don't run around chasing viruses. And I think it's because of our methodology. And I say think because I'm using standard practices. I didn't invent anything myself.
Yes.
But I'll give you the reason why I believe we don't chase around viruses. And that is this. We never leave a computer logged on as an administrator or an administrator equivalent. Why? Well, if something comes in that's bad, it needs to execute and run. If it doesn't have administrative privileges, it typically can't run. So even if someone were to click on a bad link or something came in via the border, hopefully there's not enough permissions or not enough security levels to execute that process. And that's where ransomware comes in. Ransomware will encrypt every file on your hard drive.
Yeah.
And it's they ask for money, usually in Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In the case of ransomware, if it doesn't have the privileges to run and start to look for files and that could be photos, Word docs, Excel, anything. If it can't have the permission to do that, then it's not effective at that point. You just saved yourself. And I'd have to say, I'm trying to think back. I've had one or two instances of ransomware at this point prior to my normal protection, but a lot of people, because of convenience, they'll roll computers out and leave them logged on as administrators or administrator equivalent.
Because it's easier for them to get in. And
so what's the downside of not doing that? The downside is that, let's say you go to load a program and install a program, it may prompt you for an administrator password that you would need to know. So there are some inconveniences, but for the most part, it's such a huge safety protection that it's worth doing. So right now I'll give away sort of two of mine. One is border, with a good firewall router, both inbound and outbound, and not leaving computers signed on as administrator, I believe is two of the best ways to protect. Third would be people, making sure people understand, hey, don't click on anything you don't think is proper,
Yeah, but that is easy to say. But when I go on my computer and I'm working, we're not working the average 8 hours a day. We're working the average American. If you're really out there, and you're keeping up on bills, and you have to work overtime. We get bombarded by so much messages, and sometimes you want to go through this stuff and get through it fast. So it's easier said than done not to click on something, but you might think and you might click on it by mistake. And I think a lot of these people that or these corporate whoever is doing the illegal activity, they're betting on that. Like hopefully they click on this quickly and then we could open up a back channel.
But if you have the proper procedures in place,
this can't happen.
Just like that example I gave where the fella clicked on the link and the computer said, the firewall said, that's no good. You're not going there. I'm not letting you go to that website.
Now, would it have to tell, or would it have to instruct the person like, hey, this is unusual. Do you want to go? Or it just does it automatically?
You don't give them the option for that. Once an outbound site is flagged as a bad site and the firewall filter picks it up, that's it. It's just going to sit there and say, I'm not going. And these bad programs are robust. They'll keep trying. They won't just try once and give up. So until you get to that computer and get that bad program off, it's just going to continue to cycle.
Wow.
So yeah, again, you could take a chance and not put any protections in place and go with, let's say, a local virus scanner, but you increase the possibilities of data loss at that point. And that's really, again, like I said, it's what we're here for. Protect your data.
I'm very interested in this. Like a lot of people know, junkdoctorsnj.com. We're a small company. We're no bigger than 8 people full time, and that's pretty big for us. We have dump trucks and everything, but we are a growing company because we're local and we're privately owned and we're not a franchise. So we are snowballing to become a bigger company in this area. And as our growth gets bigger, security may be an issue. I
Yep.
mean, it could come down to, your own employees doing
Yep.
something, or somebody sending you spam and a bad stuff like that. So you would be
Absolutely.
the person to call.
Right. And again, we pride ourselves on the fact that we're not running around chasing down viruses and spywares and data that's been compromised. We just don't do that. It's not in our list of things to do. It's not a normal service call for us, because we put the right.
Yeah, you already implemented the right stuff in there,
Yep.
so it won't happen.
And there's a lot of other advantages to the business owner. And let me give you an example of that as well. You as a business may say, I don't want people on social media all day long. And with one click, you can stop people from going to social media. A message will pop up and say, hey, you're not allowed to go there. But then you say, well, once in a while, I like to watch a YouTube video. So you could say, all right, let's stop. YouTube's considered social media. You could stop YouTube and still allow other social media sites, or vice versa. You can stop all the social media, so bye Facebook, Instagram, etc., but yet still allow your employees to go to YouTube. But by the same token, you're blocking categories of known bad websites. Like you may have a policy that you're not allowed to go on drug websites or gun websites. And it's all based on a standard category of websites that are industry standard at this point. So,
I seen those like going into like Atlantic Health building where they allow you use their web internet, but you have to agree not to look at.
And it's probably highly filtered, because if you try to get to certain websites, it would not let you go. And they do that, they don't want to get sued or liability. It's someone who went to a bad website. Think about it in terms of schools. We have our Untangle product in a bunch of schools, and it's important that kids don't get to bad websites.
Yes.
And boy, they're clever. Let me tell you, they figure out.
Yeah. With the new ChatGPT systems,
sure.
Now ChatGPT has been around for quite a while, because we've been using it for at least 3 years, 4 years. But now it's becoming more and more widely known because of its capabilities. And schools are starting to pay attention to it. My whole take on that is hopefully they embrace it and they program their own type of brand of ChatGPT, because you can do it for kids. Don't let them know the answer, but aid them on learning. So an AI aid would be, and they're already doing that, and we're able to do that.
That's
so
right.
That's where it's probably going to head.
To your point, Google and YouTube do have a kid version of YouTube.
Oh, they have,
Is it perfect? No, but I will give you one example. In the case of schools, kids figured out that you may not be necessarily, you can't filter on the cellular network because you're not on that network. That's a public network.
Yes.
So I heard rumors of schools actually blocking cellular. I believe that has stopped. So kids are smart enough to say, okay, I can't get to the website, the gaming. They love the gaming websites. I'll go on my phone directly. And every kid has a phone now. So that's a little bit of an industry problem at this point.
Yeah, kids will always find a way.
Well, but they'll figure it out. Somebody will come up with something to keep that in check. But it's right now it's a problem. Another example of that is passwords. I mean, the password management thing in IT is a nightmare.
Tell me about it, man. That needs to be changed.
That needs help. And here's the sad part.
It needs major help.
Well, here's the sad part. The only tool we have is multi-factor, and I think everybody's used multi-factor, where it sends you a code back. It works. It works. It's somewhat safe, but it's a pain.
It is a pain.
There are password management systems out there. They're becoming more common than they were, but it's still an issue.
I would think maybe retina verification, fingerprint verification, voice verification.
That stuff is all in place. But it's really how's it going to end? I don't know. As far as a password, I call it the password thing for lack of a better name.
Because the passwords, because you have multiple different things and then have multiple different passwords.
Sure. And you see me come here to do things, and I'm like, oh no, not another password. Oh, you have to
use an app to put all your passwords all into that one app.
And then what happens? You wind up making a cheat sheet with your passwords on it.
Yeah.
How safe is that? I do.
Yeah, that's what I
you know.
mean. You're already creating a way for
Yeah.
somebody to hack
Well,
into your stuff.
that is another product we use to help people manage their passwords. You've heard of Active Directories from Microsoft, which keeps track of usernames
Yeah.
and passwords. We use a product called Samba, which is a Microsoft clone. It's free. It's open source software. It works well, and it gives you all the features that
Oh, okay.
Microsoft.
Open soft. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's one way. Again, we try to save people money by, I'm sorry, Microsoft, and not having to pay Microsoft their outrageous fees for their software. So
there you go.
So again, I'm always thinking in terms of what I can do, not necessarily mainstream, but also what I can do to save people money and give them more features too at the same time. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, how is business right now for you?
Business is okay, and the reason I'm saying okay, I just came off a couple of corporate moves. One was a downsize, and the other one was an expansion. And they're usually great because they're cabled from scratch, so we get to do the cabling, and we get to help set the office up, get the IT infrastructure in place. So we just came off of two moves. Ironically, they happened on the same day, totally by accident. One was here in Parsippany, the other one was in Denver.
Not too bad. Not too far.
Not too bad, but moves are typically budgeted, so there's not really going to be a whole lot of surprises when you're done.
Yeah.
But they're also sort of rewarding because you get to be there on moving day when everybody's putting their stuff up. And, so we just came off of two, so that was really helpful for business.
Do you have a team of people, or is it just you and a couple people?
Yeah, it's right now it's myself and my daughter who's watching, I hope. And I have trusted individuals. For instance, like for security, physical security, I use Be Secure out of Sussex County. They handle alarm panels, access control. That's who did this office.
Great.
And we're trusted each other. I call them in, the job gets done, and customers happy. I also have some guys that I use when I need them. Contractors.
Yeah.
So we're small, not just like you are.
Yeah. I mean, anything to consolidate, because the reason why we are small, because we're not a franchise. So we don't have that franchise mentality. Plus, just like every other junk removal company, we charge the same way. Everybody charges based on how much your items take up in our trucks. The reason why we're better is because our trucks are double the size. They're like, one of our trucks is 2.5 of our competitors' trucks. The reason why people use smaller trucks is because of the franchise guideline is to, maximize profit. So the smaller the truck, the more money that company makes. With us, we don't do that because we are all about just New Jersey and providing New Jerseyans the best affordable rate. So that's, that's part of our structure and how we stay competitive. Bigger the truck, the more we can pack it tighter, and we're not charging for bagging, disassembling. We pay for the disposal because, the landfills, they charge us, but that's all adequated into a bill. So being small is not bad.
And to your point, that's exactly what I do. I have a small office we use for bench repair. We use to store parts. I don't have a fancy office or anything like that. I work mostly out of my truck. And my theory is, if you're in the office, you're not making money.
No.
You may be doing some remote work. Yes, but we still go out. We still go out and see customers. Not everything we do is remote. And I think there's an advantage to that.
There is an advantage to that. And I'll tell you why. Because, John, everything is becoming automated. Everything sooner or later, bots are going to talk to bots. So it's not going to be a human talking to a human, because we are getting into the point where our computers could talk to each other and then tell us later on, okay, this is the conversation. Do you agree? But having a personal touch like a podcast, you get to see the people that are actually doing the work. And I see this becoming more of a bigger platform, so people get to see, okay, this is the company.
And I'll give you an example. This morning, before I came here, I got a complaint late yesterday that I got a slow running computer, and I could have easily have remoted in and taken a look, but instead of doing that, I was here. I went in, said hello, took a look at the computer, figured out what it was, and it's resolved. So we still do go out. which a lot of companies don't want to do.
No, they don't want to do that.
But you're right. You're talking about self-healing. Computers going to self-heal themselves at some point someday. It's I probably shouldn't talk about AI because I'm not an expert in it yet. But I am.
No, AI is really an amazing thing, and I want people to just understand the gravity of AI and the company OpenAI, which is owned or ran by Sam Altman. This is a research development group, and they pretty much are in the forefront of artificial intelligence. Don't think of it as it's like the Terminator or Matrix. They're not building robots that are going to take your job. And believe me, I was one of those people that thought that too. No, when I started using Chat GPT from OpenAI, it was more of an enhancement. It was more fast to get more information, and then it helped me optimize working with my customers. So you can use OpenAI programs to write messages for you, make sure spelling's correct, and then have it sent to your customer via email, text. I mean, it does so much. I could sit here for hours talking to you, but once you start seeing the AI integrated into your everyday life, you're going to see that it's just an enhancement. It's like a sports enhancement or something.
And we're on round one today.
And one of
this, no doubt.
This is brand new. It's in the infant stage, and I don't believe that it's going to become a monster. And we always, and because you know what it is, we see multimedia all the time with the machines taking over the world, we already manifested that idea in our head.
Correct.
But as reality sets in, we are humans, and we create these programs.
Sure.
So I mean, I'm sure we're going to control them to a degree, and hopefully they don't turn on us. You know, we don't want that. We know that there's big names saying that, hey, if we don't get regulation, that's why Sam Altman went up to the committee, and he went up to the government and talked to the government and say, listen, we really want to have this regulated correctly. So bad people cannot use this as what we were talking like before. So, I mean, it still has a long way to go.
Right. But think about in what we were talking about before, safety. Could AI be the one that would save the day for, people that are getting viruses and spyware and ransomware, or maybe someday it'll solve the password problem we talked about.
It can, or it can be used to also hack and stuff like that. That's why there has to be regulation and put in place.
So my knowledge of that is pretty slim. So I think we should move on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we use AI to a certain degree. It's just mostly just to get, good letters written and just good messages.
Yeah, I'm just starting to, check it out and see what someday it may be part of my business. I don't know, but it's very early round one stuff right now. People were working remotely. All these products that I offer also handle remote working at home safely and securely. So everybody's heard the term VPN, I'm sure, but our firewall router has VPN built in. And ironically, when COVID hit, I didn't even know we were going on lockdown when COVID hit, and everybody says, we're working at home now. If you had that type of technology in place, you were ready to go. You could pick up your computer and off you go. Now, I think we talked about before we started the session, people are still working at home, although I think there's a push for everyone to start thinking about going back at least part-time.
Well, I mean, you could tell now. I mean, remember before COVID, pre-COVID, you had cars everywhere. After, when COVID hit, there was no more rush hour.
Correct.
And now we have rush hour again, and everybody's back in the office because we realized that, we could do things on Zoom and all these things, but there's certain things that you just cannot work from home and do.
That's right. Right. Did we lose the interaction part of it between people? I would say, we probably do. But one of the things we did out of desperation during COVID is we came up, and I'll credit my daughter with putting the components together of a thing we call the cart, which was a video cart with a big screen TV on it that allowed classrooms to broadcast remotely while kids were still staying home. That eventually morphed into half and half. Some would come in,
Yeah.
some would stay home.
Yes, I remember that.
But the big trigger on that was when we were running around looking for webcams, right when COVID started, there were none.
Yeah. Oh no, of course
And,
not. We weren't ready at all. We couldn't even find masks.
Right. We could. That's right. We could, and toilet paper. Yep.
You know, if we were super ready,
Yep.
like let's say this was like super in the future. I mean, I have this thing called the Oculus, and I put
Yes.
it on, and I was so amazed
Yes.
how far Meta platforms went, where you're actually sitting in an office, and I could
Yes.
sit here
Correct.
next to you and your avatar. But you know, that's not at the level where it's
Right.
supposed to be
You're
at
talking
yet.
about a virtual reality headset.
Yeah, and they're going to augment these things where it's going to be even easier, like a goggle just
Yep.
to put on. And that's going to be in a few years
I
or
had an
so.
opportunity to look at one. As you know, Apple just
Yeah, Apple
one,
just
so
came out, very expensive.
it was amazing, I have to say. And
Did you see it? Did you try it?
Yeah, not the Apple one. I tried one previously.
Yeah.
It was expensive. I thought for
Well,
training,
Meta Platforms came out with an expensive version too,
but
but
it flopped, didn't it?
I don't know if it flopped. I think they didn't make it for gaming or nothing. It was more
Right.
for office. But yeah, I don't think it was made to be. I don't think they made so many of them.
So if you're having a conference at a conference room table and Bob
It's-
is local and you're remote, you could be there as if you're
I just don't
sitting-
see virtual reality going away anytime soon. I see augmentation, virtual reality
Yeah.
together, and it's going to be
But
amazing.
what about for training though? I
For
thought-
training, it's going to be great.
I think that's where it may shine.
Absolutely. Even when I seen the version that they are talking about future, where you could put something on and then you could go up to a fake cadaver or fake human being
Yeah.
and open up
Yeah.
and do surgeries. Just imagine doing that hundreds of
Flying a plane.
hours flying planes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just gonna totally radicalize everything.
Well, go Apple. That's what I say. Hopefully they're successful with their VR offering.
Yeah, that's what yeah, they're gonna do good.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to hear. But anyway, my daughter came up with the cart. We saved a day for a lot of the schools, and they were able to conduct classes. It was a bit on the touch and go side. We didn't know what was going to happen as far as whether or not school would ever go back, but it did, and
Yeah.
it worked out. We also came up out of desperation again with another sideline. We're doing some weekly broadcasts for churches and synagogues. Kind of a small cottage business, but it's again something they're hoping the churches and the synagogue are hoping to get people back to religious services again. So again, it's all automated. We don't even have to beat it or to take care of it, and it's a good sideline for us.
Yeah.
And that's why I mentioned earlier when I was in the audio video business for that brief amount of time, all that experience helped with what we didn't know was going to happen when COVID hit and video conferencing became all the rage. But anyway, my daughter found a camera that was not one of the mainstream ones right at COVID called eMeet, and we were able to actually get a shipment on them.
Nice.
And
that's good.
The funny part about it is that when it came in, they were kind of like not built very well. You can see there were issues, and then they slowly improved it. But we actually used that camera. Without that, we would have been sunk.
Really?
Because again, the major manufacturer like Logitech had none. And if they even took your order, it was a week's wait. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, this whole supply chain situation, even up today,
Yeah.
they're still saying it.
It's hit and miss, no doubt.
I think there's a little bit more to it, but hey, it is what it is. So what do you, John, more about your business? What is your main objective or your main avenue that you want to go down with your business? Like, what do you prefer the most out of your business?
Well, I think what I'd like to get to is kind of having a residual income where I have a bunch of companies under contract for a set fee amount. And I do have some. I like to grow that. I don't mind taking hourly service calls, and I don't mind doing remote. But hourly service calls, for the most part, if there's decent volume there, will bring in the most revenue. And then, monthly, I think we have an aggressive monthly maintenance plan where we actually provide a few hours on site with the plan. So if you sign up and it's $300 or $400 a month for a typical 10 computer setup, if you call a service call in, the first service call more than likely would be covered.
Really?
Yep.
And what are like the top recommendations for a business looking to enhance their IT,
Um,
networking, or their security?
well, one thing, networking wise, one thing right now is bandwidth availability, and all of the carriers, including Optimum, are coming up with high bandwidth solutions. And I have a good relationship with both Verizon and Optimum, and I'm helping people get.
Good for you.
Yeah, and it's helped both ways because I've gotten
Nice.
leads from them as well.
For you to have a good connection with
Yes.
Verizon, that's pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
I have what I call the best guys in Verizon that can engineer anything.
Oh man, that's great to
And-
hear.
And it's out of desperation in a lot of sense because Optimum's bandwidth is very slow up, but very fast down. In a lot of cases with things that the companies are doing, like IP phone, video conferencing, all require up bandwidth. So if bandwidth becomes an issue, I can go to Verizon and say, hey, do you have service in this particular building? They may or may not. But the good news is Optimum has a fiber service right now that has high bandwidth and is available in certain places.
Good, because Optimum is a little bit more affordable.
They're a little more affordable. They've had some issues with their network in the
Yeah,
past,
not
but
better than Verizon.
not better than Verizon. Yeah,
Everybody knows Verizon does definitely hold it.
There's also
better.
5G wireless floating around there.
Yeah.
I've been hearing about it for a long time. It seems to be not being rolled out as fast as they would like it to be.
Yeah.
But there are offerings where cabling wouldn't even be an issue. You would stick an antenna somewhere in here and be on a 5G network with incredible bandwidth. So that's available too. I haven't done any of those, I will say.
Wow.
So I've gotten a few fiber Optimum circuits complete at this point right now, and they're furiously trying to roll out as much as they can right now. So that's one of the things, when if somebody's starting out brand new from scratch, one of the things, select the right carrier with the right amount of bandwidth if you can, if it's available.
Yeah, for small companies that are whatever you do, you definitely need a phone system, and that's what you do. You come in,
Yes.
you have the relationships with phone companies,
Correct.
and you get it set up. And I've used your company, and you guys are pretty affordable,
Yep.
and you guys are local, and you're
Yep.
not a franchise. It's not like Geek Squad or
Correct.
something else. You guys actually care about your
Right, and
customers.
I'm doing everything.
You actually, not to cut you
Oh,
off,
go ahead.
but John actually came on the day that we needed him. I think it was at night, and he came within a half an hour.
I was driving down 46.
and that was great. And that was great, So that just goes back to me just saying, small businesses, you will get your money's worth, and not just your money's worth, but the professionality that you deserve.
Right, and Chris, I'm not an overseller. In other words, I won't walk into a shop and say, oh, you gotta, you need this, you need that.
Oh yeah,
I've
heard those guys.
Yeah, exactly, and
you need this, you need that, when you really don't need it. You tell them.
And that's not what I do.
Yeah. That's good, because I think we've all gone down that road where we get that person comes in and they use fear tactics. Like I used to work for a company that did water restoration, and they told me, before you go in there, just make sure that you tell them that they have mold behind here and there. But to test mold, you got to send it to a lab to know if it's deadly or not. Mold could, but that's just.
No, I'm not thinking that.
Yeah, and me
I
either.
know exactly what you're saying.
And me either. That's why I got into this sort of business, because I seen all of that, and I'd rather provide an honest, good, local New Jersey business, because that's where I'm at. I'm not going to any other states. I don't think you work too much out of state.
No.
Connecticut, I think.
Yeah, Lower Connecticut. I have
so
some
your reputation means a lot.
Yeah, I have some financial shops because that's kind of my forte in business.
Do we have a question?
Oh.
What are the most common IT challenges faced by businesses in New Jersey, and how can they overcome these?
All right, I think we talked about that a little bit. I think cost is number one, but safety and things that go wrong are number two, by trying to keep the costs down. And another good example, I use, for the most part, refurbished corporate refurb.
Oh yeah, I did read that on your.
Yes.
That's really cool.
And
you mentioned that you guys do such a great job. It's like brand new.
Yeah, they're amazing. I have a number of vendors for them. the prices did go up, unfortunately. I used to buy them pretty cheap. Now they're a little pricey, but
Of course.
you still save money. You still probably
Yeah.
save about half. But here's the key thing. If it breaks, I take care of it. I service it. I'm not interested in warranty.
See that?
Or anything
That's
like
amazing.
that. Yep. And they've been really, really good. And one of the technologies that is available, solid state drives you may have heard of. Instead of a hard drive that spins, you now have a memory-based hard drive,
Mhm.
and they're rugged. You don't have to worry about so much about dropping them.
Yeah,
And,
I noticed that.
I've had a few fail, but really nothing major. And that's one of that. And not only that, you get a huge speed benefit. So that's one way.
And these are Microsoft computers.
They're all, again, I'm dealing typically, and one thing I use the Southwest Airlines method is that I typically buy the same hardware. Like I use Dell Optiplex desktops
Yes.
because I have parts, because I know how to fix them
Wow.
quickly. I use Dell Latitude laptops typically.
To sell them, do you need the buyer to buy more than one?
No, I'll do singles.
Really?
Yeah, I do singles. It's not a problem.
Oh,
I'll buy
wow.
when I see the price is right, I'll buy it two or three at a time, and I usually have them.
And you'll fix them up, and then you
Yeah,
can sell them.
I don't even do anything to them, honestly. I just get them ready. Make sure they're up to date. The updates have been done, and
But you do refurbish.
yeah, they're refurbished units.
And it's like brand new like it's
Yep.
just like you just put you just start it up and it's a computer.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
and
We might
again,
have to speak
the
about that off
question was
camera.
about what can I do?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cost is
It
a
is
great thing.
effective. That is amazing. I think that we should really backtrack and know what we just spoke about, which is very important. If you can save money somewhere in developing your company and you could get refurbished computers, and the best thing about it is you could get them from John's company, STF Computer Services, and I just want to make sure I read that right. But anyway, STF will sell you these refurbished computers that barely never fail. And if they do fail, no warranties, no nothing. He'll come, get it, and refix it and make sure that it's running correctly. That's a personal business. A lot of businesses that are corporate, bigger, they don't care. They're mail it in. There's not much we can do. You bought it the way you bought it. You bought it refurbished. That's we don't want to go through that. If you could go through a company that's more personal, more there to help you progress, why not go with STF?
Right. And then the second big thing is, like we've been talking about, safety and making sure you have uptime and your network runs well.
Yes.
Speed is an issue these days.
Yes.
You see my logo as a speedometer.
Yes.
Everybody wants gigabit. You got to go gigabit speed now. So it's kind of necessary at this point because of the amount of data we're pushing back and forth.
Yeah.
Hosted apps, as an example, tremendous amount of data. You can't have delay. So, and between those three things, saving money on hardware, speed, and safety, those are the things that need to be considered when you're starting up, or even if you have an existing network that needs tuning up. And,
wow.
Even the last company we just did a move for, they were based out of Italy, and we worked with the equivalent of me in Italy, and of course the language became a problem.
Really?
Yeah, but we were using translation software too.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, and there is amazing. I don't know if you're up to date with it, but you will be. If not, the translation technology that's coming out is amazing. It's going to get to the point where you're going to be able to have something, and you're going to talk, and they're going to hear, and you're going to be able to just speak.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, John. How long have you been in this business?
Well, I'm going to say the first rendition of the IT business was the late 80s.
And
89, 88.
So when you got into this business in 1989, because I feel like that is around the time that computers really started integrating into our lives.
Correct.
Not yet,
but they were
early 90s. They were problematic,
Yeah.
but if you remember the late 90s, they became very favored because I remember the floppy disks.
Yes, of course.
Those things were horrible. Then we had the hard disk.
Yep.
I mean, then the CDs.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad hardware out there. Back then we used to run around doing server updates where we'd have to take the Microsoft server down completely, do the update, bring it back up again. It was long and drawn out. All that's kind of gone.
It's gone,
So you
man.
can focus.
This is the computer now. Look how small it is.
And reliable.
Have you
Yeah.
seen the new Windows computer that looks like a tablet, but it's not? It's
Yes.
actually a computer.
Yep.
That is
I've
so
seen those
amazing.
in small formats. I've seen them as big as 65
I
inches.
think that's a great thing. I don't know, as far as Microsoft, and Apple, like both of them, but Apple lasted longer for me.
Yeah.
But it seems like with all this new investment in OpenAI, Microsoft invested billions in the AI and OpenAI,
Yep.
computer company, software company that they might even have way better computers soon.
They might.
And
They
it's
might.
going to be something that we're going to definitely be looking forward to.
Yeah, and the progression of even the microprocessors in laptops and computers have gone way up. I've done one or two i9s, which is
And you have to order your own chips also?
No. Those days are over too. We used to build computers way back when. Everything's pretty much assembled.
Wow.
So you order something from Dell. It's other than the operating system being in ready mode.
Yes.
There's not a lot you gotta do with it. Customization does come in when you put a computer on someone's network.
Really?
Because if you have a server, you have to do certain things. Make accounts. We use a technique called mapping drives, where if you're doing remote storage on a hard drive, you have to map a drive up, permission it properly. So there's a few things to do. But in the old days, we used to worry about C drives failing, the local drive in the computer, and that was a disaster way back when. That's a non-event now.
Yeah. And people probably listening to this and are like, I don't know nothing about what they're talking. This is all computer jargon. But you know what? It is very important to do research, reference check what we're talking about, rewatch this video. And also, if you have any doubt in your security, this is the best time to get in touch with STF Computer Services. You may think that you're fine and security is up to date. When I tell you right now, me and my team, we are heavily into technology. We are software engineers. We do our own coding, and we also been affected by certain scams. We caught it, but just us being aware of this out there and them almost getting us is very scary, because there's companies out there that don't even have a clue. This is the time that you want to invest, because it's going to be much more affordable going with STF or whoever you choose than getting hacked and then maybe never getting that information, because you're not going to be able to afford the ransom. And if you think you're going to be able to call law enforcement, which you can, we have, but I'm going to tell you this, they're going to tell you that these crimes are common, but they are not fully equipped to catch these scammers, because it usually leads overseas. And once that happens, they're out of their restriction. And they also told us that we should heavily invest in security. And they also told us that the computer companies also have their own fraud, department, and banks do. But the number one thing is, instead of going through all of that stuff, stop it where it starts and get security yourself. Yep. Nobody's going to help you as much as you helping yourself.
Right. And to your point, Chris, the insurance companies are being very picky about insuring small businesses for cyber insurance for loss of data.
Yeah.
And we've had many situations where we were asked, we have a few insurance agencies as customers. They've come to us and said, hey, client such and such, they don't want to cover them because they don't have anything in place to protect themselves. And they asked us to come in and do an audit and make them compliant, so they don't have to pay premiums or go to a secondary carrier.
Scary.
It comes in waves, but we've had a few of those. Also, in the case of what can I do, backups are so important, and we do both local backups and remote backup onto a cloud server securely. always secure and encrypted. And if you go look up,
It's
if
gonna
anybody
get
wants to
worse.
look up ransomware, they'll tell you, well, you could do this, this, and this. However, your best line of defense is backing up. And you have to do it
Yeah.
if you want to protect your
Go on
data.
the offense, man.
And I think companies have to kind of like sit down and say what's really important. If these files are floating around in Word documents out there, they're not important. If they go, that's fine. But if there's something that's critical to the line of business, then
No, there's too much information.
they need to be. You need to have a backup plan. Typically, when we onboard a customer for a monthly maintenance contract, we always include backups. I don't even ask. I say yes, you have to back
God,
up.
there has to be something, John. We're not talking about our effort.
So-
We're talking about everybody.
That's right. Well, think
you
about
know?
your laptop right there. Would it be painful if you lost your C drive?
Would probably go into fit, believe
Yeah.
me, because I have everything, but it's protected, well protected, and luckily for you, and and I'm always going to keep on staying in touch with your company and keep on top of any new
Yep.
technology that could keep us protected. But yeah, I mean, yes, to answer your question, it
You would
would
miss it.
it would be horrible. Believe me.
It would be an interruption in your daily routine.
It'd be
There's no doubt
huge.
about it.
We work everything that we're working on 90%, 95% all from the computer now.
Right.
We are paperless.
Yes.
This company, it is paperless. We upload all our papers to go into our software, and it knows exactly where it has to go.
Right.
It knows what fields to go into, knows what tonnage, weight, pricing. And if somebody ever did something like that to stop us from being able to just use our regular dashboard that we created and coded, that would definitely hurt the company. But I think now is the time. Let me ask you another question. With what you do in IT, you do IT work, but you also work on the protection part of it. To keep people aware from viruses.
Yep.
How is it a competitive field?
It's actually not. There's only a few competitors in it that make these firewall routers until you get into big iron, like corporations have these big massive pieces of filtering equipment. But for small companies, medium size that we service, these appliances are relatively cheap. Typically, you buy an appliance, it's a router. You've seen routers before, but you also add filtering software to it. So I'm filtering outbound, I'm filtering inbound. The stream is looking for viruses, spyware, malware on the way
So
in.
you actually at your end have software that's actually our data is going through like a filter.
Yes.
And it's looking for keywords.
Well, it's actually your data. It never becomes mine.
No, because it's here.
It's here, except if there's an exception. If every morning I get emails from all the appliances that say, hey, this is how much data was passed. This is how many bad websites people tried to hit. The list of data goes on and on to the point of it being boring. But if you called me up one day and said, hey, I think one of my employees is hitting a bad website, and I'd say to you, okay, let me take a look. And I'd be able to actually go in and drill down and see exactly what websites they went to and right down to the sub-level. So do I do that often? Absolutely not. Why? Because people know the filtering is there. They typically don't try something bad because they know it's being watched. Same with cameras. It's would you do something bad in front of a camera? Probably not.
No.
It's the same sort of deterrent situation when you're filtering like that. So my involvement, once everything's in place, my involvement is just really exceptions. Did I see anything going inbound that looked funky? Did I see anything going outbound that wasn't supposed to? Did somebody continuously hit a bad website? You see that in schools, for instance. That's a pretty good example. But
Another question?
That's exciting.
All right.
Are there any specific certifications or qualifications that the team at STF Computer Services hold, which contribute to the company's expertise and service quality?
Nope, I don't believe in them.
You believe on training on site and training them?
experience,
Yes, I actually agree.
It's become, my daughter Victoria is actually going to take some of the CompTIA certifications.
And I'm sure you've done it already.
I was Novell certified. Novell is a company that's been long gone many years ago. Yes, I have taken stuff over the years. Vendor training is typically more valuable than the standard certifications out there. But no, I like expertise.
Yeah.
My daughter's awesome, and the guys I use are fantastic. I mean, sometimes we work on some difficult problems.
Yeah,
And,
I believe in that.
it's about understanding. You have to understand network. You have to understand communications.
Do you need certifications if you have to do, let's say, a big corporation?
They may ask for it, but I've really rarely been asked for any kind of certification.
Cool.
We just did that move with 70 cable drops. The owner of the company didn't care about whether I knew how to run
No,
a cable
he just
or
cares
not.
about if you can do the job correctly.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
important. I know people that got tons of verifications, and I do too. But did I need them? No,
No,
because I was hands-on.
Right, exactly.
Growing up
what's
doing
the
this.
value? You have to look at what's the value.
And
of
I've
those
seen the guys
certifications.
with all these certifications couldn't do half the stuff I did.
To my detriment, by the way, I'm sure that I wasn't certified over the years, but I'm okay with it. Like I said, I like experience. I like
Experience is number one.
doing the right thing and
Yes.
never giving up. Really, if you have a problem, you got to stay on it.
Yes. And and that's what I see now. More and more people in this generation, they're giving up too fast.
And I could have easily have lied and said I did, but I
No.
firmly believe that certifications are a waste at this point.
To a certain degree, depending on what you're doing. But this type of work, you really don't, because it's computer.
Yep.
And once you learn and keep on doing it,
Yep.
you learn the ins and outs of it.
That's
You
right.
become very good at
And
it.
guess what? It changes.
It does change.
It
And you
changes
keep on, you
significantly.
have to keep on staying updated.
Right.
So
And
what do you do to stay updated on the changes?
Probably I'd have to say watch a lot of YouTube videos. I'll
Read.
pick up a particular subject and just kind of stay up on it. If I see an interesting product, as an example, I'll research that product and say, hey, is this something that can help my existing clients or my future clients? But that's pretty much read a lot, watch YouTube, and try to stay up on the industry trends as best I can.
And what about, I looked at your website. Do you believe that, because a lot of people are not looking at websites no more like they used to. They just go on Google and then they just look at the Google, see if they got good reputation, and then call.
Yeah, that's right. They look at reputation is everything.
Yes.
Your quote unquote Google reviews are everything.
Yes.
Websites, I think, to people are now becoming boring.
It is. Websites, they just, and that's why as I'm talking to somebody, I actually know that they're probably using their cell phone to call me. And as we're talking and I'm talking to them, I actually send them a link to the website so they can see the size of the truck.
It offers legitimacy, I think. I have a website. I'm legitimate, but the reviews, I think people look at the first 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, they look at those reviews.
I say, all right, the job that I just did, the move I just did, they went to the website and they looked at the Google reviews. That's all they did, and I got that job. So
yeah, and what I like doing is sending them a link. So because in my line of work, it's all about the size of trucks. So you got a lot of companies that say, yeah, we do it for this price and it's really cheap, but the trucks are like 12 cubic yards.
Right.
But our trucks are 25. So I send them that link and I show them by law of the DOT, transportation. You have to have the size of the truck,
sure,
and you have to have the licensing that you're allowed to haul solid waste.
And people do care about that.
And that's why I send them the link, and I send it, and right as soon as they go, there's a video, no reading, a video of the trucks and us working, and it gives them more validation that, okay, this is a good company with good reviews.
Right. And to your point, I think when somebody looks at your website, then looks at your reviews and invites you to come in and speak to them, that's where selling begins right there. I sell. When I typically get in front of somebody, I usually sell and close.
Yes.
But it's getting harder and harder to do that now, of course, but it's, you got to be out and talking to people, I think, is the point.
Yeah, because you could lose that personal touch because, like I said, bots are going to talk to bots and nobody's going to know who is who. That's why we have this podcast so people can see we are from New Jersey and we service New Jersey. Don't get caught up in big corporations that are not from here. They're just here to just get as much money as possible out of you. They don't use the same courteousness as we do and the same perfectionness that we use. We use such in that perfectionness into what we do, and we're really like good at what we do. So you do want a local company that really cares, instead of a company that's just sending a worker that's getting an hourly wage, and he's just going to go there and he's not going to try, or she or he may not try to go that extra mile. I've seen
Yep.
John go the extra mile at my office here to get something done, and that's why I believe in small local New Jersey companies. There's a lot of us out there. Just look at our reviews, do some research, call us, get to know us, and I guarantee you, you will get a better result from that than going with your average franchise or big company.
And to your point, I think the smaller you are, the easier it is to control the quality.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm able to do with hand selecting my alarm people, or my second level technician, or my first level
You
technician.
took the words right out of my mouth. You're right.
It is. As you grow, it's more difficult to keep those controls. in
Keep a
place.
handle. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, and that like John just said, like, I'm not looking to take over America in junk removal. My whole thing is, I'm a New Jersey boy. I was born and raised here, and I just want to keep my business here in northern central America, Jersey, in America, of course. But if we can ever do expand, we'll probably expand to southern New Jersey. But that's what makes us the best, being the bigger truck, so you get more room, and the best in customer service and affordability.
Right.
What else would you like to add about your
Just,
company?
just the only thing I want to point out, are we getting close to wrapping?
No,
Yes.
we talk as long as you want.
Is that if anyone's interested in a consultation, it's always free. I'll come out and see it, and I'll tour your site, and
He will.
and make recommendations with no obligation. And I like doing that. And then, with all my, wonderful things to keep the costs down, hopefully we can do business together.
Yeah, so your name is John Drews, owner of STF Computer Services. Phone number, website.
The phone number is on my website. It's stfcomputerservices.com. It's a Google voicemail box, so you could leave a message. It translates it and sends it to me.
Beautiful.
If I don't answer, I usually try to answer. And placing a service call is the same way. I still do it traditionally through the phone number, and we try to respond as quickly as
What is your phone number again?
It's 973
973
869
869
9510.
9510.
10.
I'm so sorry, 10. And that's how you can reach Mike and John. Wow, my mind is.
Oops.
Yeah, it's like, I'm working so much, but anyway, thank you for catching that. But it is John. I've been dealing with John for years, since we came to this office. But it's just great to actually have you on our podcast.
Yep.
And I'm just very happy to have local small businesses get some type of sponsorship, some type of marketing, because we don't have the big bucks to have big commercials.
Yes.
And the more we help you,
Yep.
I'm sure you help me.
What's the cheapest way to market? It's word of mouth, reputation. People talking about, hey, this guy helped me out, call him.
Yeah, and we do not charge for podcasts. So if you want to get on here, and there's 32,000 people on our Facebook group, that could be a couple of thousand good opportunities to get your message out there. And there has been times where most of our interviewees have gotten calls from this podcast, and we don't ask nothing from it. All we ask for is to pay it forward. That's it.
Awesome.
And just keep on helping small businesses pursue their dreams. Is there anything else that you want to add?
That's about it, Chris.
I mean, it's amazing. I'm very happy that you came up. Thank you for your services and your IT work, and thank you for telling people how to stay safe. Don't forget, safety is definitely important. It's going to be a lot cheaper to get the security than get hacked and have to lose that information
Exactly.
and start all over
I
again.
don't want to have to walk in and say, I'm sorry, I can't get your files back because the ransomware hit them. That's not what I want to do.
Yeah, and please don't think that it won't happen to you. A lot of people have said that. Try to at least see what kind of security you're dealing with and get in touch with STF and ask questions. Like John said, he will come for free consultation to show you everything that you may need. You could be a small office, or do you do people that work inside their homes?
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
have to.
So yeah, because a lot of people are working from home.
Well, they're connecting typically to corporate networks, and that's a vulnerability. So we have to make sure that's secure as well. So.
Yeah. So if you're working from home, don't take it lightly. I've had my run-ins with viruses, and it was not fun. We thought we were like untouchable, and we weren't. Now we are. We have the proper securities, and we could thank people like John.
Twice.
I keep on thinking about the next. We keep on thinking about John. Sorry. Thank you
Sir,
so much,
thank you.
John.
Thank you for inviting
It's
me.
been a great interview, except getting your name wrong.
We'll
but
forgive you.
but thank you so much. And if you ever need anything from us, Junk Doctors NJ, we're here.
Yep.
And thank you for everybody for watching. We are Junk Doctors NJ, New Jersey's premier junk removal company. No job is too big or small. We deal with anything from commercial to residential, and we are from New Jersey, northern central. We deal with northern central New Jersey, and our prices are very affordable, and our trucks are bigger than any other junk removal company in the industry. And you'll find out why that's so important once you get in touch with us. Have a beautiful day, and hope to hear from you soon. Especially call our good friend John at STF. Thank you.